Thank you all for joining us this evening. I'd like to call to order this Henderson County Board of Education meeting, regular meeting. Today is April the 15th, 2019. If we could just have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Mr. Bryan, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. The next item is the approval of the agenda. And before we take a motion to that, please note that under new business, we have added a scheduled, the superintendent's capstone presentation. And under the North Middle School roofing project, there's a BG2 and BG3 that the KDE requested that we do. So those two items have been added. Anything else we need to do before we approve this agenda? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda as listed with the additions.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to Sesquicentennial Spotlight.
This first transportation took place at Spotsville in 1920, and here the community voted a special tax of 20 cents on the $100 to provide a better school program. At first, transportation was furnished by horse-drawn wagons, but as the county built gravel roads, motor buses, like the one pictured here, came into use. Tomorrow is 150 days of school, so we'll be celebrating our Sesquicentennial 150 with cakes with 150 token on them. So.
Ready for student and staff recognition?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
Thank you.
Could we get our board member, Mr. Kirk Haynes, to come forward and assist Ms. Mortis with our medals and stickers and awards this evening? So we're going to start with our April Judges Scholar. That's where we usually start. This month's Judges Scholar was from South Heights Elementary School, so I'll ask that Principal Rob Carroll comes forward. And would you please introduce to us Delaney Shoemate, our Judges Scholar, and why you picked that young lady from South Heights.
All right. Come here, Delaney. Like I was telling our parents, that this isn't something that we just kind of flip a coin. We actually narrowed it down several weeks ago and kind of talked about 3 or 4 students, and we just kind of kept coming back to Delaney. Now, if you meet Delaney and you see Delaney, she's not some really kind of outgoing, in-your-face type of leader. We call her a quiet leader. She really leads by example in everything she does. Several years ago, academics didn't come like incredibly easy for her. She has great parents who are advocates. They were kind of in our face saying, hey, let's give her the support that she needs. And we did, and Delaney worked hard, persevered, and now she excels. You cannot find an adult that works with her anytime one-on-one or has a discussion that doesn't immediately walk away and go, wow, that girl is smart. So his perfect ACT score might have a challenge here in a few years coming up. I am very proud of you. That blows my mind. So, but Delaney Shoemate, she's our leader of the month.
Congratulations, Delaney. We are very proud of your, Delaney, come here. We are very proud of your leadership and thrilled that you are a part of the Henderson County Schools. And you brought some support staff with you. Could we get Mom, Dad, and any other family members to stand and be recognized as well, please? Just us. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And could we please get a picture? Okay. Congratulations. Always proud to meet our Judges Scholars. Our next award goes to a staff member. This is a very impressive award this evening. He has been recognized for achieving over 700 career wins. Presently, he has 727 career wins as the head coach for the Lady Colonels. 33 years worth of service. Jeff Hale, would you come forward, please? His win total, yes, huge round of applause. His win total is third, the third most in Kentucky history among the girls coaching. He has there are only 8 boy coaches in Kentucky that have reached a 700 win plateau. His overall record of 727 wins and 218 losses give him a 77% win rate. Woo! And a postseason of a 74% win rate. 22 district championships, 15 regional championships, 15 state tournament appearances, 4 Final Four, and 8 Elite 8 appearances. Coach Hale, we are thrilled that you are a part of our staff, but most importantly, we want to award you with the Medal of Excellence this evening. Not only do we appreciate what you do for our girls, but you are truly a model of our core values and 33 years of service. We hope you keep going, but we are thrilled for 33 years. Thank you so much. Can we have a picture, please? Do amazing things for our young ladies. We appreciate you. Next goes to a student award. Now, before I introduce the student to you, I want to share with you that only 0.2% of 1% of the students who take the ACT score a perfect 36 on their ACT. And in the United States, the graduating class of 2018, 1.9 million graduates took the AC, but only 3,791 scored a 36. This young man is a Henderson County High School student, and he is a junior. Luke Fulkerson, would you come forward, please? He scored the highest score possible with a composite score, congratulations, with a composite score of 36. What is also very unique about Luke, I think his previous teachers and his current teachers and principals would say, he is a very well-rounded student, very well-liked by his classmates, and he also is a Colonel basketball player. So we are very proud of your recognition and would certainly like to give you a Medal of Excellence. Congratulations, Luke. And as we're coming back to get a picture, any family members, please stand and be recognized. Congratulations, Mom and Dad. Congratulations. All right, next on our student staff recognition is the Henderson High School academic team, and I'd ask Mr. Sullivan to come forward, please, first. There he is. We have had the pleasure to have him here in our board meetings for several years in a row because he continues to roll out amazing academic team, and we always seem to fare well at the top. And so this year we have a quick recall first place at our state competition, and I've heard after we reconfigured some scores, we came in second place overall. And so if you have any of those team members tonight, would you please introduce them?
All right, everybody just come on up. Bring those big trophies too.
Yeah, bring the trophy. Tell us a little bit about this team, and we're going to put medals of excellence on each one of them.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you made a line. It's good that the academic team can make a line. To practice it over and over. This is Harrison Jenkins. Hey. Harrison is one of the best language arts people in the state. He was first place last year. He came in third place this year. You came. Why did I get second place? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's been a long day. Long week already, Monday. Harrison came in second in language arts this year. He also came in sixth in arts and humanities and scored a whole bunch of points for us. And he's holding here our great big second place overall trophy. So we're very, very proud of that. I'm very proud of Harrison. Next, I've got Alex Chandler, who does math for us and social studies, and he's holding our first place quick recall trophy. We've been very close the last few years, and this year we were finally able to get that. Alex placed 8th in math, and he's the reason that we got the second place trophy here instead of the third place trophy, because within an hour or two after the meet was over, they'd given us the third place trophy, and he's looking at the scores online, and he's like, I'm pretty sure I got 39 right on this test instead of 38. So the next day I emailed them, and they checked the scores, and sure enough, he was right. They made a mistake on the scan cards, and it shuffled the top 10 around, and he moved up. They had him at 9th. They moved him up to 8th, and so we came in second overall instead of third overall, which is a pretty big deal for us. So next is DJ Banks. He is our quick recall captain, and he tests in social studies and arts and humanities, and he was now I'm nervous about what places they got. I think he was second in arts and humanities and third in social studies this year. All right. DJ is just an amazing quick recall player. He answers questions in just about every subject and does so very fast. I've rarely had anybody who can memorize such vast quantities of material as fast as he does. So great job this year for DJ. Next is Will Kyle, and he is a junior in tests and science for us, and he also plays quick recall for us. And he's done an outstanding job this year anchoring. These three guys here are seniors, and so Will is the junior that jumped on the team. We lost a senior last year, and so he's the one who filled that spot and has done a great job for us all year this year in quick recall. Next, we got another senior, Logan North, who does math for us and has done a great job this year for us in that. Next is Josh Freeman, who is a freshman. It's extremely rare. It's difficult on this team to get a testing spot as a freshman. But not only did he get one, he went to state in science and has done an outstanding job for us this year. He got in some good quick recall time also. Next is Maggie Privet, who is a sophomore, who tests in language arts and humanities. She was 18th in the state. They only give trophies for the top 10, but she was 18th in the state in language arts this year and has done an outstanding job for us. Looking forward to more great things from her. Next is Julianne Latimer, who is also a freshman. Tested in math this year and has done an outstanding job, went to state in math, and I think you were also 18th? Okay, I think she was 18th in the state in math as a freshman, which is really, really incredible. We have a few kids that we're missing tonight. Alex Edwin is a senior, and he tests in science for us and made it to state in that. Riley Lovell tests in arts and humanities, and she made it to state in that. And then we're missing Abby Salisbury, who as a freshman also qualified for state and language arts. So we have a great young group to follow these seniors as they go, and another group behind them to do well in the future.
We are very proud of your accomplishments, but we also know that wouldn't be possible without an extraordinary coach. And Mr. Sullivan, we also want to extend our appreciation to you, also with the Medal of Excellence as we come down the line here. Then we'll get a picture. If there are any moms, dads, brothers, sisters, support people for any of these students, would you stand and be recognized, please, as well? Thank you so much. I am sure that you have spent many hours on the road traveling back and forth, either to competitions or to practices, and without your support, it probably wouldn't be possible for these students to excel also.
Also, I have assistant coaches. Sarah Hardy is an assistant coach. Please stand up, Sarah, so everybody can recognize you. Sarah was a past parent. I had two of her sons come through, and she loves it so much she just keeps coming back and helping out, even though her sons are already graduated and they're all in college. Ed Klaus wanted to be here. He's our chemistry teacher at the high school. He got sick this evening. And then Derek Schwartz is another coach for us this year, so I do have lots of help to do what we do.
Thank you. Let's get a picture, and could the assistant coaches come and join us also for a picture, please? Thank you all, Henderson County High School. Next, we have several technology students. Mr. Bailey, if he would come forward, please, that he would like to recognize. And the significance behind the next group of students that we will recognize definitely correlates into our initiative of building a better graduate. So, Mr. Bailey, I'm going to let you just share.
I'd be glad to. Throughout our endeavor, through our one-to-one implementation, we have definitely developed partnerships that have benefited our students in many different ways. I knew one of the challenges that we faced in implementing such a large initiative is how are we going to get these devices repaired and back into the hands of students when they break. So we have developed a huge partnership through our career and technical education program. We have 4 representatives from the IT program tonight that work each and every day, part of their school day, at North Middle School, South Middle School, and the high school, supporting those devices. A little bit about the program. The program is sponsored by Lenovo Corporation. And part of the requirements of the program is that students that maintain the devices, they have to go through a rigorous training program that culminates in an industry certification. Another component of that program is we have to have a claims administrator of that program. Miss Tammy Jacobs is here tonight, which Tammy and the students, please come up here so you can all be recognized. These folks, along with a few that couldn't be here tonight, have been part of repairing over, to date, as of today, 1,105 Chromebooks this school year. So we have Miss Tammy Jacobs, who's our claims administrator and part of the manager of the Lenovo certification program. We have Devontae Cheney, who works at the high school in the help desk program under the direction of Miss Jamie Sutton, who couldn't be here tonight. We have Mr. Elijah Wolf and Alex Clark and Clay Moit. Elijah and Clay both work at South Middle School, and Alex works at North Middle School with Andrew McNeil, who also could not be here tonight. So we appreciate your hard work and dedication. We appreciate the collaboration between Henderson County High School, the partnerships that's evolving there. This program will grow next year. These students are in paid positions. The Lenovo Self-Maintainer program actually is a revenue generator that allows us to sustain this program, to offer scholarships for these students in the future. And I just can't say how proud I am of each and every one of you and for the work that you've accomplished, and also gaining the real-world experience that will give you a head start in your career path as you choose to move on to post-secondary and the workforce in the future. So congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. You said that very nicely. You know, a lot of times when we employ high school students, we get a little worried about, will they really get to where they need to be when they leave the high school on time, ready to go and prepared. And these young men, plus the ones that even are missing this evening, have certainly shown those job skills of being to work and on time, and they do their job very well. So we are very proud of them. Mr. Bailey, thank you for your leadership in that department as well. and of course, Ms. Jacobs. We appreciate you and each of you all for awarding you the Medal of Excellence. And you need 2 extra medals, Ms. Jacobs, for students that aren't here? Okay. There's a couple extra ones, sure. Now, as we're getting ready to walk back and get a quick picture, are there any parents, grandparents, any support staff with these young men tonight? Please stand and be recognized also. We appreciate, yes. Thank you so much for allowing them to be a part of this program. So, Mr. Bailey, will you come join us and we'll step back here and take a quick picture? Next, we'd like to recognize another program at Henderson County High School, the HOSA program. Ashley Bailey and Lori Fulkerson. I see her here this evening. If you would come forward. Henderson County High School HOSA is a very active club at the high school. I can certainly share that, and congratulations. We are the third largest secondary HOSA chapter, but we place second in parliamentary procedure, if I read right. The team included Jada Calhoun, Aaron Evans, Michaela Medley, Caitlin Riggs, and Casey Jones-Lyons. And if any of those students are present, please come forward also. And Ms. Fulkerson, I'll let you stand over on this side so we can give all of you all a Medal of Excellence. And also Miss Jessica Sheffer, which is a student. Go ahead. Okay. We will give her, we have a certificate for her. She was awarded the Outstanding HOSA Advisor of the Year award in the state, and so we want to make sure we give that award to her. But Ms. Fulkerson, tell us a little bit about these what these young ladies do, and what exactly is parliamentary procedure?
Well, I wasn't really prepared to speak, so since Ms. Sheffer is not here, I'm going to let these girls tell you, because I don't really know a lot about the event, and I feel kind of bad for that. So do you?
I'm gonna be completely honest right now. So, what? Our event. All right, I'm gonna be completely honest though. Our event is kind of like how it started in here, but it's like within ourselves, not like really a lot of people are there. It's just really with us. But it's like a simulated meeting. I said that wrong, I'm sorry. And we basically debate, like we'll see like which ones of us agree with things that we think would benefit HOSA. Like if we wanted a fundraiser, we could debate on what we want to fundraise about. And there'll be ones who, there's always going to have to be someone to disagree. So we're going to have the ones that disagree, and they're going to give us why they disagree, and then the ones who will. And pretty much that's a simple way of describing how it is. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Is there any support folks with them? Moms, dads, brothers, sisters, please stand and be recognized. Thank you for allowing them. A lot of this is done after school, and so their practice times, I know, extend past the workday, and you all have to support them to oftentimes get them to and from school. So ladies, can we step back here and get a quick picture?
So, Miss Morgana, are they sitting back there judging us whether we do it right or wrong?
I don't know. They might be parliamentary procedure. They might.
I'm going to be nervous if they don't leave after this, so. Be clear. Yes, I was going to say. We're going to have to call Casper and just have them teach it.
Well, Madam Chair and members of the board, this concludes our student staff recognition, and we'll lead right into Ms. Frances Tompkins doing our Building Better Graduate Spotlight. And I think I saw her earlier. Here she comes. She's going to showcase what the STEAM lab looks like at A.B. Chandler Elementary.
Good evening. I am Frances Tompkins, the Library Media Specialist at A.B. Chandler Elementary. A little over a year ago, Brandy Haley, our principal, came to me and asked me to start thinking about what we could do to make the library a little more exciting for the students when they came back in August. We decided to order some new seating to update our space, and I was already doing a little bit of makerspace stuff in the library. So, I'm reading from some notes. Then, Ms. Stanley approached the media specialist in May about revamping our spaces. Ms. Haley and I were all in. We have totally transformed the space into our new ABC Innovative Hub. To do this past summer, we moved shelves, moved the entire library collection. Some books have been moved twice already, and we got rid of old furniture, thanks to our maintenance department for everything that they did, and added lots of new furniture, technology, and other items. Our students have been very excited about the changes this school year. And in the pictures, you can see some of our renovations that we've done. We've added new paint, lots of things. And what we thought our makerspace was going to look like at the beginning, it has continued to evolve. And we're continuing to change it even now. So it's still going to be changing. We've just ordered some additional tables and chairs with the help of our PTA. So it's still going to be changing. So it's very exciting. When students are in the Innovative Hub, they are working together. I hear them communicating in positive ways. They are problem solvers, they are inventors, and they are learning they can overcome challenges with hard work. This week, their favorite activity is the Sphero Station. A Sphero is a spherical robot toy controlled by an iPad or tablet. You can code it to do a lot of neat things, but we are still at the exploring stage. We have many other fun stations that the students think are really cool and fun, and all the stations are connected to our curriculum. I want to thank the school board and Ms. Stanley for their continued support of our Library Media Center. And on the screen, you see a lot of different activities that we have. Our library is open at 7 o'clock every morning, and each grade level has a designated day that they can come in. Of course, during that time, they can read, they can check out books, take AR tests, and then they can also do makerspace activities during that time from 7 to 7:35, 7:40. And then they also have class time and other times throughout the week. Do y'all have any questions? All right, thank you.
Ms. Tompkins, for your leadership. I'll have to quickly share with you, when I was recently visiting there at Chandler, there were kids in the station, so, you know, I go over there and I'm trying to find out what's going on, what are they doing, and one little guy gave me his, not little guy, he was a 5th grader, gave me his iPad, and he said, here, play this game, and I'm like, oh, I'm not very good at video games, but he was insistent, so I had to try, you know. Come to find out, he had created his own video game, and you had to run along. Of course, you had to jump and do all these different things, and then he had the little hidden treasures where you had to, and that's what you were trying to do, is get as many points as you can. And I wasn't jumping correctly or something, I don't know. And so he had to give me a little lesson, and then he even rewrote the game for me to make it a little easier right then and there. So I know it was a great experience, and thank you so much for sharing, and Miss Haley for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgana. That takes about 30 minutes out of our board meeting, but believe it, to us, that's the most important part of this board meeting, is seeing that our children are excelling and that the work that we are doing has an effect on each child. So we're all tickled to death to have this part of it. Moving on to public participation and recognition of guests. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak to the board this evening?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I have one invitation that I would like to give to the board members this evening.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is next Tuesday on April 23rd at 8:30. If any board member would like to join us for our principals meeting from 8:30 until 9:15, we'll have a breakfast prepared, and we are going to honor the principals who have just completed the Leadership Institute. And the Leadership Institute is a leadership program that is sponsored by our Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, and we have several local supporters that help fund that. And so we are inviting our donors to that breakfast. We graduate 2 of our principals, and then talk about prior principals, and then who actually was selected out of applicant pool of 68 principals across the state of Kentucky. Henderson County got 3 more in for next year. So if you have time, 8:30 to 9:15, I'd like to invite the board to a breakfast that morning. Thank you. I'm sorry, it'll be here at the PD Center.
Thank you. We also have some Henderson County High School student ambassadors. If you all would stand. Jose Mendez, Renaya Berkins, and Reed Rush. Thank you all. The next item on our agenda is to approve the minutes from the prior meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those, and are there any changes or additions to those minutes? Hearing none, I look for a motion to approve the minutes from the prior meeting, please. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Ms. Tracy. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to reports. Our first report is from SOFA, our School of Fine Arts, Miss Leanne.
Madam Chairs and members of the board, as she's coming forward, video, and then she has a handout that we're going to pass out also.
That gives you a little introduction. We have been blessed with many wonderful people that have come out of Henderson County schools and gone on and done some pretty incredible things. Many of them are even listed on this video. But I want to thank you for allowing me to come before you tonight, and also thank you for the work that you all do, because it's evident in seeing these students up here tonight, there's a lot of good things going on. And we hope at the SOFA Foundation that we can continue to enhance that good work. Certainly the arts are an area that's often the first to be cut on the state, federal, and sometimes even the local level. But, you know, increasingly we are seeing the importance of evening up that playing field for the arts in the school system. And it is our hope to be that entity that helps you do that, because oftentimes your budget is can't always do the things that you want to do. So we're a group that is a nonprofit. We formed, well, I'm not going to bore you with all the details. I've put in the packet kind of our timeline, a chronology of how we've come to be. But our emphasis is really about touching the kids at Henderson County Schools in greater ways. The soft skills that the arts provide are going to be the job demand of the future. As we move into more robotics and artificial intelligence, soft skills such as speaking and presentation, creative and critical thinking, empathy, problem solving, and so much more can be achieved by working in the fine arts. SOFA Foundation is a fairly young grassroots nonprofit entity. You've heard from Brian Eatonson before on the SOFA program and its development internally at the high school. They have obviously run much faster than we have on our side because we first had to begin a program in order to be able to support that program. The SOFA program supports the work of SOFA as well as the Fine Arts Department at the high school. But our long-term goal is to integrate our support of the arts K through 12, to build the arts program and give our youth the best, well-rounded education. We must begin them young and create the pipeline. We have 3 main goals to achieve, and you'll see these in your handout with more detail under each. But the 3 areas are to fund, to support, and to market. And when we say market, we're meaning educate or advocate for the arts. Like I said, I'm not going to bore you with the details of our strategic plan and how we formed and all the numerous little things that we've been doing over the last few years. You can find that in the packet. But you will be able to see the steady track record and that we've been diligent and we're passionate and we're setting ourselves up properly to move toward bigger things. Part of this also includes an endowment component, so we can be able to sustain the arts well into the future. Our growing board is made up of many busy professionals, leaders in this community, very much of a cross-section of talents and capabilities, and not to mention our esteemed advisory board, which quite frankly has some pretty doggone famous people on it. We've been busy. The train is now ready to leave the station and go to a bigger destination. So in a sense, we've been catching steam, meaning STEM with arts in the middle. Although we agree STEM and standardized testing and all those things have value and need and are important, we feel like art needs a bigger seat at the table and an even playing field with all those other things. So take a minute and just look around this room. You're going to be hard-pressed to not find something that art hasn't touched. The pen you're holding, the desk, the chair, the purse I'm carrying, the fishing pole on the weekends, you know, the TV show you watch at night, the rims that are made at your factories, the dyes that are made in plastic paints. All of those are designed. They're all created. It's all art. The truth is, art is everywhere, and without it, things fall flat. I have put a TED Talk link on the front page of your handout. This man, this was actually shared with me by one of our board members, and he is a CEO of a technology company, and his story is quite fascinating. And I encourage you to please pull it up on your phone and just listen to it on the drive home tonight. It really epitomizes what we're talking about. He talks about how the majority of his employees do not have any type of a STEM degree, but an arts and humanity degree, and they are the best problem solvers. The best employees are the ones who can solve problems and that are critical thinkers, and that's obtained through arts immersion. I work in marketing, have for 30 plus years. I'm telling my age. I can tell those photographers, designers, and videographers, music engineers, and even web designers who came through a tech school versus an art school, because you can see the problem-solving capability. It's one thing to point a camera, know all the little intricacies of how to use that camera, but it's different to look through that lens as an artist. The two work together, and they should be collaboratively immersed together. We're hoping to provide an opportunity for kids to be able to collaborate in that way, the technology area as well as the fine arts area. We hope to achieve this by utilizing the space and resources available to us at the high school presently, but the truth is the program is locked in small spaces, and they're already outgrowing the spaces that they're in. And this will increasingly become an issue as we move forward and the program grows. We're also aware that KDE says no more room for expansion either, so we're locked. So it's in our viewfinder to help create new space. We envision large open floor plans, much like the innovation station that you saw at the one elementary school, that can be modular to some degree, expand or decrease, temporary walls, maybe equipment changes depending on what the project is. We see fine arts students collaborating in these spaces with technical students. We want to create a private and public partnership of sorts. To do this with our foundation fully funding the space and gift it back to Henderson County Schools, and of course under KDE requirements. But for a minute, just imagine the vocal student working with a technical team to record their audio. A fine artist creating a scene which is used behind an actor that is recorded by a videographer. An editor working alongside a creative artist to lay in graphics. And a visual artist hand draws a piece that will then be laid into the other technical piece. And it all culminates into one big movie. We hope to develop programs similar to Gifted and Talented in the 1980s, which spawned so many of the people that you saw on the video. Many of these people now are setting Hollywood and New York City on fire. We want to challenge our students with real-world problems in business and industry and allow them to solve and create the space and projects that will allow them to become more desired in the area of their interest, whether it be entering the workforce upon leaving high school, entering college or tech school, or whatever their desire. We want to see students, even STEM students, excelling in the soft skills and becoming STEAM students throughout. This will put Henderson students in Henderson County on the map for incredible creative thinking, a workforce that's unmatched, with not just tech skills and manufacturing jobs of days gone by, but the creative ability to operate and think ahead in the world of robotics and machines and best solve problems. Let's bring our kids back home, because with these types of skills, they can operate from anywhere, create new businesses, and help our community thrive. I'll leave you with this last video, and I hope you'll join our effort. Watch that TED Talk. Read the handout that I've provided, and help us better serve this vision for our youth together, collaboratively. I hope you will have me back so I can keep you up to date, and together we can grow this vision. Thank you.
Our children's world is changing. It's our job to guide them, help them to change with it, help them to prepare for their future, educate them with skills and tools they can use in their new world. But how will we help them? What will we teach them? SOFA, Henderson's School of Fine Arts, and the SOFA Foundation, a 501c3 supporting arts education in Henderson schools, are the calm in the storm in an increasingly confusing technological world, helping our youth to access and nurture creative abilities through the arts, combined with career-focused technology skills, tools, and learning. Nurturing innovative and adaptive thinking to meet the demand for emerging job opportunities. Opportunities that require merging traditional science, math, and language with soft skills such as compassion, creativity, and empathy, difficult to replace by artificial intelligence and machines. Now, it's up to us to lead the way, to come forward together with new vision, insight, and guidance to grow our community, attracting new and vibrant businesses, and with the decentralized nature of creative industries, grow our home area, building a foundation for our future heroes to work locally.
With the quickly changing nature of jobs today, the path to a good life is increasingly difficult to identify. Forward-looking innovation in education is urgently needed to open these new horizons. Join us in supporting Henderson's youth and giving them the opportunity and education they deserve, right here in Henderson.
Questions, board members? Thank you, Leanne. That was wonderful. Comments? Mike? Nope. Anyone? Thank you, Leanne. Yes, we look forward to working with you. It can be done. And anybody in the community that wants to help our kids, we're right behind them.
Got a very passionate group of people. So.
Thank you. Well, you got 5 passionate people here too, so thank you very much. Moving on to, looks like we have 3 schools this evening to give their reports. The first one is Central Academy. And remember, everyone, you have 8 minutes to do your presentation. When you're down to 1 minute, I will give you the 1:08. I think you can do it, Anthony. You cram a lot into a school. You can cram all year into this.
I think I can do it.
Thank you.
I can talk for hours about what we're doing great at Central. Ms. Bear gave us 8 minutes, and I'm going to do it. But if you want to hear more about what we're doing, tomorrow morning at 7:50, WSON, I'm speaking on at Speak Up. So tomorrow, tune in, WSON at 7:50, and I'll speak about 45 minutes about what else we're doing great at Central. So to help me out, just a snippet about what we're doing at Central, I brought tonight my JAG instructor, Wes Alexander, to my great counselors, Cassie Crowder and Charity Johns, and my instructor supervisor, Miss Lindsay Thompson. So we're going to start with our great things that are going on, our strengths, and Miss Crowder, or Mr. Alexander, start first.
JAG is a new program this year. Pitched off at Central. It's been doing wonderful. The kids are responding. We're teaching the soft skills needed for them to be able to go out, get a job. It's the skills that they requested during the workshops for Build a Better Graduate, whether it be financial literacy, employability skills, or employee retainment skills. Providing counseling to help students during rough times. We're working with the most at-risk students, and I'm trying to help ensure their success. We're trying to break the poverty cycle and dependency and show that they can be valued members of this community. Network with employers to provide opportunities for career placement. My goal is to have every one of these children, once they graduate, a guaranteed interview with one of the local employers in the community. Compiling data and to assure accountability, fidelity, and program success. I document each minute spent with the kids to ensure the program's top-notch. Students excel mentally, emotionally, and educationally. Finally, we have a lot of fun when we learn. The class is very active. We use a lot of PBLs and authentic learning to help provide real-world situations for these students. So I've brought some handouts also that I'll give to the board, kind of a 10,000-foot view of the JAG program nationally and state.
All right, at Central, we try to remove all barriers possible. One of the barriers that we see is some of our kids are hungry. 1 out of 5 kids in the state of Kentucky lives with food insecurity. So Ms. Thompson came up with this really good idea of empty bowls. We're going to have a fundraiser next Friday, the 26th. We'd like to invite all the board members, Mrs. Stanley, everybody here. For this $10, you're going to get a lunch provided that's soup and sandwiches. And also for that $10, you're going to get a bowl that's created by one of our Central Academy students. I brought an example tonight. These kids have been working really hard on this. This was made by one of our kids in our behavior resource classrooms, and he absolutely loved doing this, okay? And this is, the next slide is pictures of some of our kids making the bowls. They loved it. They loved every minute of it. All right. This year we've had a partnership with Reins. We've sent a couple of our kids to do therapeutic writing, and those kids absolutely love that. They did a great job. One of the instructors actually said she'd hire one of the guys to work on her farm, which is great. This year we partnered with Junior Achievement. We have 3 different groups of students who are working with them, our elementary students, and 2 different groups with our middle school.
This slide is about our fun nights, our family fun nights. We have had 2 this year. We had a fall night, and that was based in literacy. And then we had a one just this spring, and it was based in math. Of course, we feed them. And in the pictures up there, one of the things that we really kind of want to showcase is that we're getting the kids involved in getting these things ready. And I hope that helps our turnout. We know they helped us paint some ceiling tiles and get some things ready and help us not only be there that night, but also prepare that day so that they have a hand in that. And I noticed especially with the painting of the ceiling tiles on literacy night that they couldn't wait to come in and kind of show their parents, you know, the ones that they had worked on. So, yep. Monthly birthday parties. I'm really proud of this one. This is something that has been really special for our kids. Instead of, you know, in elementary school, because I come from that setting, in elementary school, we, you know, parents come in and celebrate their kids' birthdays and get cupcakes and things like that. And I started noticing there were so many that got left out on that. So what we do now is each month we call our kids down and we have a cake or cupcakes and things like that for them. And they come in, we have music playing for them. We have a little birthday party for those kids each month. So that's really fun. And industry night, Miss Thompson got this together for us, and this was really neat. A bunch of industries from local industries came in and spoke to our students. We had groups going through, and we actually had some parents and students leave with job opportunities that night. So that was really cool, or interview set up. So,
I mean, we have great things, but we also have challenges going on at Central. One of our biggest challenges that we have are their students' home lives. Any and everything that goes on at their home, they bring it to us every morning. I'm there every morning to see them get off the bus, and I take a temperature of when they get off the bus, how the day's going to be. Most days it's not good, but when they come to see my face and come to see our counselors and Mr. Thompson's, Mr. Alexander's face, it becomes better, and they know that we're going to be there for them, and we're going to be that constant for them. So we're going to put a bow on it with Miss Thompson.
Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so our Piece de Resistance is the performance-based program. It is what some of you might know as the Academy. Currently, we have 134 students from grades 9 through 12. They are students that come and have a flexible schedule. They come either 8, 16, or 20 hours a week, depending on how many credits they have. They are, so far this year, we've earned 465 credits. So that is exceptional. We have students that come in that have no credits and that will graduate and get it all done in 2 years. They work really hard once they get in. Right now, we have 41 students that have completed all their coursework and assessments for graduation, and we expect to have 60 graduates this year. These are students that wouldn't graduate normally and that wouldn't have a diploma and wouldn't be able to prosper in our community. So that's, we're very proud of that. Also this year we have partnered with Earl C. Clements Job Corps in Morganfield to further our students' aptitude and ability. We have 2 students right now currently that are co-enrolled and going to school and getting a trade, so they will finish their trade and they will graduate with a diploma, so they will have both of those. So I think that's it. Any questions?
Graduation May 21st, 6 o'clock, South Middle School.
On my calendar. Any questions? Thank you all. Thank you all for caring for our kids. Appreciate it. You did a good job. 7 minutes, too. I told you could do it, Anthony. Moving on to Thelma B. Johnson Early Learning Center.
I practice so I can get this in. My staff said I could never do it, but I can. So if you go to the next one, Robin, the first slide that you're going to see is just some data for preschool, the Brigance data, which is the 18-19 Brigance data, and our teaching strategies gold data. If you'll make that smaller so they can see both of those at the same time. We are right now in the process. We have just started a new schedule this year. We're about to finish up our year. We have 5 schedules going on in our school. We have a Monday, Wednesday schedule, a Tuesday, Thursday schedule, where our kids come full day for that time. We have a Head Start schedule, which is 4 days, all day. We have a transition schedule for our most severe need kids. Those kids come 4 days a week, 2 half-day schedules. And then we have our 21st Century Enrichment Program schedule, and we have our second 10 weeks started of our preschool partnership grant, which we got in November. So that changed us from having the majority of our kids for 130 school days to having them for 64 school days. We get them longer hours, but it's still 64 days. And about 32% of our students have missed 5 or more days already, which is better than the 55% that missed 12 or more days last year. So when we look at this data, I just kind of wanted you guys to keep that in mind. We did overall have an increase of about 5.3% on our Brigant scores, and we are projected in all areas except math to do better than we did as far as exceeding our growth expectations and our teaching strategies go. And we have some theories on the math. If you'll go to the next slide, please. This side, and it's really difficult to see, but our 21st Century program, this is our second year, and it's an enrichment program. That means that our kids come when they're not in preschool. So if you come Monday, Wednesday to preschool, you come and enrich on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So those kids get 4 days a week. We have 3 10-week sessions, 15 kids, 3 teachers. That gives us a total of 30 kids in a week, in a 10-week session. That's 90 kids that get to do that. And what we do is we give a pre and a post screener, and what you're looking at is whether kids made 20% more growth. So that first slide, 93% of the kids, we focus on math, literacy, and social emotional. 93% of the kids in that first session made 20% more growth, 93% in math, 93% in literacy. Our second 10-week session, 100% of our kids made 20% or more growth in math and literacy scores. With that, if you'll go to the next slide, we started our community partnership grant, which we got from the state. We have 2 things going on here. Our 21st Century program went so well that we replicated it. So we got 2 teachers and 4 assistants with our grant. So now I have not only 90 kids, I'm able to do 60 more kids for a 4-day week, but I have to focus on those kids that get child care assistance. And what you're seeing in that first is 89% of our students made 20% more growth in that 10-week session in math, and 100% of them made the 20% or more growth in literacy scores. The bottom part is with our private child care partners. Not all those kids go to our school, so we have staff that are going to our private child care partners, and they are working with those kids that are not in our building, doing literacy, doing math, and doing social emotional instruction, and both of those groups made 100% in 20% or more growth. The next slide is a reading survey that we did. We just wanted to point out, even with all the push that we've had, we still only have about 11 to 12% of our preschool families who are able to find time to read 7 days a week with their kids. We have about 50% of our families who are taking advantage of Imagination Library. And then we have about 23% that are taking advantage of our workshops. If you'll go to the next slide. We started the ACEs survey, keeping our data on our adults last year. We ask our parents when they come into orientation if they would mind to answer the ACEs questions. Those questions is a 10-question questionnaire, and they're pretty invasive questions. They're adverse childhood experiences. And what we do with that data, if you go to the next one, Robin, is we just look at what are our families coming in, what kind of suitcase, what's their suitcase look like when they're coming to our school. And our biggest takeaway from our adult ACEs data this year, out of 309 adults that did this, 32% of them had an ACEs score of 4 or more. Well, what does that mean? Well, when you're looking at ACEs, there's a dose, cost, response. And the higher your ACEs, the more likely you are to have medical health problems. And if you have a 4 or a more, you are 2.5 more times likely to develop cardiopulmonary disease. You are 2.5 more times likely to develop hepatitis. You are 4.5 times more likely excuse me, it's the season, to develop depression, and you are 12 times more likely to either commit suicide or have suicidal thoughts. So when I look at almost a third of my family coming in with those barriers, and I want to teach their kids and I want them to read 20 minutes a night, it kind of puts things into perspective for me whenever we're doing trainings. We also started this year child ACEs data. We're not compiling the data for anything, but we use it if we have kids that are having problems in the classroom, or if we're getting ready to place kids for social emotional RTI or any other things. So if you go to the next slide. As far as our family events, we realize that we are the hub of early childhood education and information in Henderson County. We've had 56 family events since June, and in that time, if you add all those events up, we have had 3,481 people come through our doors or to our events wherever we held them. The next one is grants. As I stated, we understand also that we are the first impression that a lot of families have of Henderson County schools. So with that being said, there's a lot that's expected of us and there's a lot we need to do. We cannot do everything we need to do without grant funding. And this year, we've worked really hard and we have secured $366,300 in grant funding. You can see our 21st Centuries in its second program, our preschool partnership grants in its first of 2 years. The Preston Foundation gave us $20,000 to go to an endowment where we can pull out one scholarship now. We're in our third year with the endowment. And also gave us $30,000 for scholarships. And I had 19 scholarships given away this year. International Paper gave us $9,000 for some outdoor classroom improvements. And then the district gave us $7,300 for some technology that we are using. If you go to the next one. And as far as enrollment trends, excuse me, we have grown 29% in our enrollment since we opened in 2014. This year we have 468 students. We have the capacity for about 130 more students. We have 19 students on scholarship, 91 students paying tuition, and the rest of them qualify to be there. If you look at the bottom, some other great things that are going on, we got $17,500 for our Henderson County Early Childhood Council, and I broke all that down for you, but I'm not going to read it to you. But there's lots of ways that our center is giving back to the community through that. We do have a national board certified teacher, Miss Amber Stone, who was recognized this year for that in Frankfurt. And then we're also very proud of our push-in groups. They started this year. We take an administrative team and we go into the classrooms and spend about 30 minutes. We've had 86 sessions since January with our teachers. And our staff has had 43 hours of support from our administrative staff. We have about 13 students we're doing social emotional learning groups with. There are some community members coming in doing things, and that's about 3% of our population. If you go to the next slide. Our challenges, well, one of the challenges is just keeping up with 21st century and getting everybody on board. I'm a 20th century teacher. Nobody ever said, hey, this is what you need to be a 20th century teacher. This is what you need to be a 20th century learner. But 21st century is all over the place. Never has it been easier to accommodate kids. Never has learning been on the go. Never has learning been everywhere. We have 5 schedules we're managing. That's been difficult. My staff wanted me to bring up having a third person in that classroom would also be great help for us because of the age of our students and what we do with them and the amount of data that they're collecting. Our social emotional support for our families is greater than it's ever been. We had an increase in custody issues. We had an increase in incarceration rates. We had an increase as relatives as parents. And just being able to meet with our families and not be pulled into court battles has also been an issue this year, more so than it's ever been in any year. And that's it.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
What's your student to child ratio in each classroom?
In the majority of our classrooms, in our 4-year-old classrooms, it is 2 adult kids. In our 3-year-old classrooms, we try to keep that at 2 adults to about 15, but sometimes we have to go to 17. And then in our transition rooms where our most severe need kids are, it's 10 to 3. And then in our enrichment classrooms, it's 3 to 15.
And do you, I'm guessing that if you had volunteers from the community to come in and read with those preschool kids to supplement what some of those families can't do, I mean, is that possible?
We do have,
You do have
some
some
community volunteers come in, but we never turn readers away. And yes, that would help. Yes. Yes.
So maybe we need to do a push. Maybe probably one of our things that we do on the weekly things is that we need to ask our community if they could come in and read to little kids. Reading to other kids is sometimes difficult, but little kids will just sit there and
They'll
listen
love
to
it.
you. Yeah. So yeah, it would be great if we could focus on that one time. Thank you, Ms. Morgana. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the new Jefferson Elementary School update. And you're doing the crime prevention thing too, correct, Jeff?
I am, yes.
Oh, okay.
Good evening. Wanted to give you a report this evening that says that our design team has received the comments back from KDE regarding our schematic design for the new school. As part of that, one of the specific elements that we needed to address was the crime prevention through environmental design checklist. Wanted to report that our design team has reviewed that checklist in detail, and we have also gone through that with administration and staff, and are prepared with your approval to seek the appropriate signatures and submit that to KDE with evidence that those items will be incorporated into the new design. So that's the first item on my list.
I got a question when I was going through this. There's a couple of them that don't have X's in the yes or the no columns. Number 4, do staff members have, it says, do staff members use keys? Are they required to go outside the room? There's not a check mark and X in either one. I'm sorry, say it again. It would be a no. Okay. There was another one in there too. There's a couple, some of these boxes that are not. Will convex mirrors help? Yes. Can internal mirrors? Number 5. There's a couple in number 5 that are not checked. I'm just thinking before somebody signs this, can we make sure all the boxes either have yes, no, NA, or we're working on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Before somebody signs it. And I'm not sure who's signing it, but yeah, just a couple of sections in there. Thank you. Any other questions anyone has about these? Okay, and this needs to be approved, is that correct? Yes. Okay, I'm going to look for a motion to approve this crime prevention document with the additional changes to be made before signing. Do I hear a motion to that effect? Thank you, Ms. Tracy. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Mr. Mike. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. And moving on to, is that all that you need? You got something else? Okay, go ahead.
With your permission, yes. They're associated with the main school project. There is some improvements that are going to take place, site improvements at South Middle School. Those improvements, mainly a parking lot for the school, have been completed from a design perspective, and we have reviewed those with the staff and have established a schedule to proceed with that. And I'm here this evening to also ask that you allow us to advertise that project for bids so that we can move forward with that project, with the understanding that we would be receiving bids back on May the 8th, and for review of this board at May the 20th, your May board meeting, and then with the goal of having the pavement design or constructed before the school begins, and then a couple of the items on the project to be completed shortly after school begins, those being the canopy and then the remainder of the landscape site work and seeding for the project. So if you would be so inclined, I'd ask for approval to be able to advertise for bids this evening.
We need a action on that item, or do we just need a general?
I'm requesting that you allow us to advertise for bids, which would be basically putting the project out for bid. The parking lot project does include we showed that project, if I remember correctly, at our previous board meeting, and indicated that we were completing the design documents at that time.
That's something that should have been on our agenda for today, Ms. Morgana? Do we need to bring it back, or is that something we can go ahead and?
We can, and I might have been the one to cause the confusion here, so I probably need to apologize. I felt like because that was already approved by the board, we didn't need to get another approval tonight, but just to inform you that there was now a timeline in place to move on that because KDE had approved it.
Okay.
So I really don't think that the board needs an approval
That's what I
tonight.
If we've already approved it, then
So.
it's done.
Yeah, I was getting confusing too when yeah.
I
think,
apologize if I misspoke. It was my understanding that's what
no,
I should
I
ask
think
for
it was
this
just
evening.
kind of to inform the board that we're far enough along that we're ready. You guys already approved those plans at an earlier meeting.
No, you're
it's
not the only
you.
one. That's totally fine, Mike. Yeah.
It was just
That's
a
fine.
way
So
to
if you're,
communicate.
if you've got the approval, you're just telling us that now that's the timeline you're getting ready to start on it.
Yes.
Okay, we're good. We're good then. Okay. All right.
Sorry for the confusion.
That's okay. We're creatures of habit. If it's not in front of us, we don't tend to vote on it. Okay, moving along to Spotsville School update.
Madam Chair, members of the board, you do have a change order in front of you for $27,000. This change order is actually a request from the owner, aka us, right? And here's what has happened. Once everything has been put in place in the back parking lot, we feel as we look at Spotsville's parent pickup and drop-off count that we need to modify that rear parking lot, or we are going to have struggles and congestion continually down the road, and we have money in contingency to allow us to do this. So this change order is a request to change curbs, take out gutters, replace a single lane traffic now to double lane traffic, and it takes like an island curb out, and so also our delivery trucks, yes, they're struggling at making such a sharp turn, and they're running up on the curb, and it's just a good idea to take that curb out, keep it striped, but then it allows double pickup, get the traffic off 60, and it works better for our delivery trucks. And we've had RBS, Kyle has looked at that, and Donnie Thacker and Billy and Steve Steiner and myself, and the whole reason is to eliminate traffic congestion. And as the school receives more students down the road in years to come, it will even become more issue. And I think, well, we haven't closed that out and there's money in the contingency. I would respectfully request your consideration to allow us to make that change at this point of time.
Any questions regarding that? Hearing none, I look for a motion to approve BG 15-016, and the change order is 3-9. Thank you. I'll second that. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving along to miscellaneous capital project updates. Mr. Kyle looks like he's got enough paper here to do us for a while.
We have several items tonight for approval, starting with the Henderson County High School CTE paving project. We have our specifications, we have our drawings completed and ready to send to Frankfurt for approval. And once we get that approved, we can issue to contractors for bidding. Construction documents for the high school CTE paving project.
Okay, that's for paving so that you can send it to KDE for approval. Is that correct? Okay. I make the motion we approve the construction documents as listed. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Mr. Mike. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, moving on. The next project is the secure entrance projects and the safety upgrades. again, the construction documents and specifications are completed and to a point that we can issue those to KDE and HBC for approval. And again, once we get that back, we can issue to the contractor.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the construction documents for the secure entrances project. Is that correct? Thank you, thank you. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to BG3.
On the same project, but at this stage, KDE, they ask us to basically update the BG. So you have a BG1 at the beginning, and then once you get through design development and construction documents, you go through a checklist, and you have more details of the project, and sometimes changes are made from the beginning to the point of construction documents. And they just ask for the BG3 to be revised if needed. And that's what we have here. It's just an updated budget.
Okay. Any questions, anyone? I'm just going to go through theirs. If there's a question, somebody stop me, okay? Need a motion to approve BG3, the statement of probable cost for the safety upgrades. Thank you. I'll second that. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the North Middle School roofing project.
Yes, again, specifications and construction documents are completed and ready to go to KDE and HBC for approval. We need the approval for the construction documents. And I have specifications and drawings for each project with me, so they are complete.
Ms. Beth, can we put all three of those into one motion? They're all three for North Middle? Two, no, you got.
Three items under number 3 that.
Yes. Yes. Well, she. Okay. So a motion for the BG2 and the BG3 and the construction documents for the North Middle School roofing project. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Ms. Tracy. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Ms. Beth. Moving on to asphalt improvements for Niagara, Chandler, and South Heights.
Those bids were actually received today. Unfortunately, only one bid was received, and that was from the Rogers Group. We've talked to bidders in the past for our paving projects. One no longer is bidding paving, and the other just had some internal things going on with their company and wasn't able to bid at the time, leaving only the Rogers Group to submit a bid. And their combined bid of all the sites was $540,933.30. To my knowledge, that's higher than the BG1 that was approved for the project, and only having one bid, it would be RBS's suggestion to reject that bid and to issue a rebid to try to get more bidders. Now, we have reached out to another bidder, another company, and they would like to bid the project, but like I said, they had some in-house trainings and some things that didn't allow them to bid the project because of the timeline of the actual bid. So anytime you have competitive bids, hopefully we could see a decrease.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. We talked with RBS today in detail when they opened the bids, and we would certainly support Kyle's comments to put that out for rebidding. And we even talked about the timeline, because we know this has to start when school is let out, because we're working in the school's parking lots. And with one bidder and it being in excess of maybe $80,000. We feel comfortable in, as long as our turnaround time is we rebid it right away. I think it's worth taking a look at, yes.
No,
No,
we can
no.
we can do a 7 to 14 day.
So we need action on that. We just need, that's what,
Action. We need a action to reject the bid.
rebid it. Thank you. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Do that, please. Moving on to,
Revised BG1, had the bids been approved, the revised BG1 reflects the actual bid, all right? So a BG1 is just an estimate of, and then the revised BG1 reflects the actual bid accepted. So due to rejecting the bid, there is not a revised BG1 to approve.
that's what I was thinking. Everything gets stopped because we're sending it back out. Correct. Go. Okay. Moving on to the gym floor replacement for North Middle School South and Henderson County High School.
Yes, that as well was bid this afternoon, and we had 3 bidders, and those bids ranged from $289,700 up to $332,253. The low bid was Conrad Floors out of Smith Grove, Kentucky, and we worked with Conrad on several of our school projects, gym floors, and they've always done a fine job.
They were the low bidder on that?
Right, Conrad Floors was the low bidder, yes.
Okay.
At $289,700.
Okay.
At the this is a little bit higher than the BG1 also. At the pre-bid, it was discovered they were actually able to investigate a larger area of the existing floor, and it was brought to our attention that there was some subfloor issues that would need to be addressed. So it's our opinion that that's why the bid came in higher than what we initially had estimated, but we feel that the bid is good, and it was competitive.
So if we accept that bid, we would need to revise the BG1 to that same correction, yes. Morgana, did you have any comments for that?
Yes, I would echo what Kyle said, that we accept the bid, or I would like to make a recommendation to accept the bid from Conrad Flooring. Even though it is a little bit higher than our estimated BG1, our staff in Henderson County Schools Maintenance Department, along with administration, we're a part of that bid process, and we understand it, especially at South Middle School, that the subflooring is atypical. As a matter of fact, I think there's a large gap between the floor and actually. Well, I think they all were. I think they all were a little bit elevated, but we knew going into the process that South would be tricky. And that there's like air, there's like space in between it somehow. So, and with there being 3 other bidders to bid on that same project and being at the pre-bid meetings, we felt like that the low bid was a fair bid. You know, when you have more than one, you're having to, you know, tuck in your price a little bit if you want that job. So I would make that recommendation tonight that we accept Conrad as the low bid, which will mean adjusting the BG1 in item, is that C or 3? 3. 5-3.
I need a motion to approve the bid and enter into a contract with Conrad and approve the bid, and then also have a revised BG1 to conform with that bid amount. Is that correct? Did I get all the pieces of that? Okay. Yeah, easy for you to say. I'll second that. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Henderson County High School soccer field.
Before we move on to this, now that we have the approval to enter into a contract with Conrad, and we get those contracts signed, we get them approved through KDE, we will bring them on site and set up a pre-construction meeting and talk about the scheduling and the phasing and how they will handle the multiple sites. We have talked to them, and they were able to handle larger crews, so we hope that they will be able to kind of spread out and do it all at one time. We won't know all the specifics until we sit down with them. Now that we have them approved and get them under contract, we can move forward with the actual scheduling and phasing of the work. Okay.
Third for our schools. Obviously we're out, but at the same time our gyms are used often, and so we had spoken, and that was a big deal that we need to keep working on, and he said when we get to pre-construction we'll be able to line that out so that helps.
Okay, cool.
Finally is the high school soccer field lighting project. On this project, we just need an action to approve the contract, the agreement between the architect, Henderson County School.
Any questions about that? So we need a motion to approve the owner and contract agreement for Henderson County High Schools soccer field lighting project as listed. Thank you. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Mr. Mike. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Check, check, check. You get to take all your paper back with you. Thank you. We appreciate your time. Yeah. Moving on to apprenticeships, Mr. Chad Thompson and Joe's not here. You're on your own, son.
All right. I'm used to being on my own. I can handle it. That's right. So, yeah, wait till I get home. I've already sent her that text message. Great job, baby. All right. Apprenticeships are not something new that is new to Henderson County High School. The big piece that apprenticeships has come in is, especially with the new graduation requirements that I'll follow up with here in just a few moments after I talk with apprenticeships, but they have taken on a little different look this year. Currently, we have co-op students and apprenticeship students. There is a very distinct difference between the two. A co-op student is working at a business and not necessarily getting paid until after the school day. An apprenticeship student actually gets paid during the school day in most instances and is typically in usually a high demand area, and that can be in a lot of different areas. But even this year, with the new graduation requirements that I'm going to talk about, apprenticeships have become a big part of that. Our community is wanting apprenticeships, and even here within the school district, we're wanting apprenticeships even within ourselves to help even grow ourselves. So currently, we have two areas with apprenticeships that are in high need. We have welding and we have machine tool. Currently, we have 2 students that are in full-blown apprenticeship programs. We also have another one waiting on approval from the Kentucky Department of Education. Those students are working with Pittsburgh Tank and Tower currently at this time. With machine tool, we have 2 students currently. They are with Royster's Machine Shop and Frield's Machine and Tool. And we have more businesses that are coming on board daily, and we continue to work with our students to make sure they have the skills and to be able to go out and work in the fields to become apprentices. One of the big things that has come forward in that terms of that accountability in one of the other districts across the state that we have been in conversation with and talked with, they have started their own apprenticeship programs within the school districts for a couple different reasons. Number one, to help grow themselves and grow their own workforce, because we know in the setting of education now, it's not just in the classroom, but it's a struggle a lot of times to find maintenance, to find custodians, to find technology. And a lot of districts have turned to becoming self-sufficient and training their own. And through the new accountability piece, as a district, we have had a lot of discussion around creating our own apprenticeships within our own schools and working through the process currently that we're working through in several different areas. And those areas that we are working through right now to develop some apprenticeships are technology, transportation, maintenance, child development, and culinary, because we all have technology needs. It's the 21st century. We know that. Transportation, we have buses. We know that. We have an awesome automotive program. Maintenance, with Donnie and Billy and everything that they do, we're always going to need maintenance technicians. Child development, that's what we're about. So let's grow our own here in-house. Also, culinary, that's a big industry, not just here, but all across the nation, with Safe Serve and making sure that we can provide our local businesses, and also within our school system, we have cafeterias, and we need cafeteria workers, so hopefully we can grow our own. The advantage of having apprenticeships is that the workforce wants specifically skilled workers. And it can take up to 4 years for a student to achieve to go through the apprenticeship program to receive those specifically designed skills that the workforce will provide them. With offering apprenticeships, that allows us to start a student earlier in that program, and therefore allows them to level up and to jump up in terms of pay in the workforce earlier than their competitor may be after they graduate without those apprenticeships. And even within our own schools, we can help do that for some of our students. So as we look forward, we're partnering with more and more industries and businesses, especially in the areas of welding and machine tool, to provide apprenticeships, and also we're looking within ourselves to see what we can do to provide opportunities for our students here in the district with apprenticeships. Questions?
Sounds positive to me. I can't find
It is.
anything wrong with any of that.
It's a very new venture for us. We have had welding and machine tool apprentices for some time, but really looking within inside ourselves is huge.
This is taking more advantage of your CTE unit than you've ever had
Yes,
before.
correct.
Go for it.
We're working on it as fast as we can.
There you go. Okay.
All right. New graduation requirements. We came before you back in probably November or December talking about the new graduation requirements, also the proposed plan that Henderson County High School and Henderson County School Districts had proposed to meet the new graduation requirements. These actually have come into law. And you're going to see two different pieces there, the graduation qualifiers and the graduation prerequisites. The graduation qualifiers are what is going to take place for our incoming freshmen next year. And there actually have been, there's one change, and I'll talk about that in just in a minute, that we found out on Thursday, but we've hit the ground running the last couple of days. But it talks about the pre-college curriculum as established by post-secondary education. That is everything that Henderson County High School offers. The only difference in what, if a student wants that, they have to take 2 foreign languages. Currently, we offer German and we offer Spanish. So if they want what they consider a pre-college curriculum, they will take 3 sciences, 4 math, 4 English, 3 social studies, then they'll take 2 foreign languages, and then they'll fill their electives. So in other words, when they graduate, if they take 2 foreign languages, they have achieved the pre-college curriculum. And this is a graduation qualifier. Then we have benchmark score in one section of the college admissions or placement exam as established by the Council of Post-Secondary Education. Here's where the change came down Thursday. And Kimmy actually called me on the phone before she actually sent the email because she knew my head would spin. Up to this point, we knew ACT was being a college admissions exam, but they had never told us what the placement exam. Those are 2 totally different exams. So on Thursday, Kim found out they're going to allow the Coyote exam. And what that does is a college placement exam like the Coyote. If they take the Coyote, then that enables the student to go into college and potentially not take remedial math or English classes if they score at a certain number. Like say if it's in math, it's 21. So therefore, they don't have. It's basically what we always called a pass-fail class in college. You take it as a freshman. If you pass it, then you can take college algebra. If you don't pass it, you probably have to look at maybe finding somewhere else to go. But they're basically remedial classes. So in order to graduate, the pre-college curriculum, you have to get one of these 8, meet one area of the ACT, or one area on the college placement exam. Or you could have 3 post-secondary credit hours in any type of dual credit. That is basically one dual credit course. We are working very closely with HCC to offer as many academic and CTE courses as physically possible. With their help, I feel like we're going to get a lot done next year. One course in the corresponding assessment in AP, we have a very strong AP course. So as long as they score a 3, 4, or 5 in one of their AP courses, then they meet the graduation requirement. Then we do not have a Cambridge Advanced, or we do not offer IB courses at Henderson County High School. Industry certificates, of course, through our CTE. If you achieve one of those, then you will become graduation ready. 4 credits within the KDE approved career pathway. You notice that says the 4 credits. For example, that's welding 1, 2, 3, or 4. It does not state that they have to achieve a certificate if they take 4 courses in that pathway. Then complete 2 years of KDE approved or Kentucky Labor Cabinet approved pre-apprenticeship or apprenticeship programs. Those are some of the ones that we just talked about, and that's where we're at in getting those approved by the Kentucky Labor Cabinet and KDE. Then the 8th option is Kentucky Department of Education approves a process to verify 500 hours of exceptional work experience. That is extremely difficult to achieve for our students. There are a lot of if, ands, or buts built into that that we're looking at, but to get that in is extremely difficult. The important piece there on number 8 is or alternate requirements as prescribed in a student's IEP. We are currently awaiting KDE guidance on what does that look like, because that is our special ed students that for some reason or other may not meet one of those other 7 requirements. That is where those students will get some of that relief. So we're waiting from KDE to get some idea of what does that look like in a student's IEP. Then you go back up and you go over to the other side. Then you have the graduation prerequisites, and this is for the incoming freshmen of 2021. Currently, starting tomorrow, you'll see number 1, they will meet the minimum criteria on a KDE approved test in math and reading. We are taking the pilot, what's today, Wednesday. We're taking the reading pilot for all 10th graders on Wednesday. We're taking the math pilot on Tuesday. We will not get any results back from that since it is a pilot. They're field testing items. So our kids have 2 45-minute tests. They'll take one on Wednesday morning, one on Thursday morning. They are all electronic, and they will be taken on the Chromebooks. And then we will never see those results again. What they do is these are teacher design and state design tests. So they are testing out items for a lot of different reasons, for validity, or some too easy or some too hard. Do they match up with the curriculum? In the curriculum, the item that we were hoping to assess this standard, does it actually assess the standard? So they will see, the state will get the results, and they'll validate the assessment items, but we will never see those results. So this is a pilot test. Yes, basically. We do this every single year with something. We did it last year. So they have to meet both of those. Then they can take it again once a year in the 11th and 12th grade. So just know that our current freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors do not fall under any of these. They are still under the 27 credits that we currently have. These will start with next year's freshmen and beyond. Of course, let's see, the next bullet. If they get in the 8th grade and they score at the proficient or distinguished level on the K-Prep exam at the 8th grade, then they have met the graduation qualifier for this 10th grade test.
Also, just a reminder, board members, that every May, June, July, KSBA sends us updated suggested policies of any changes that were made in the legislative session. And so you'll see some of those based around how we'll have to implement these procedures. So we know this isn't policy yet, but we'll see that coming forward. I'm sorry to interrupt, Chad.
No, you're fine. Then we have the third option there, a student collection of evidence through the ILP process, the IEP, performance on others. And this is really a portfolio, and we don't want to get into that situation because we're going to make sure that we prepare our students academically with rigor, with engagement, that our students are going to achieve through anything other than having to submit a portfolio. We will have a piece of that built in, but we want to make sure that we do everything possible that 100% of our students meet the academic rigor and never have to get into a portfolio situation. But that will be a process that we'll have to work through once we get some guidance from KDE of what that's going to have to look like. Now, I also submitted their graduation and transition readiness proposal to you. That has not changed. We are moving forward at Henderson County High School, with the only exception on the academic readiness piece that we proposed earlier is going to be now the Coyote has been proposed by the state as a college placement exam. Yes, trust me, it's confusing. Questions? Yes, sir.
So, on the graduation qualifiers, number 6, 4 credits. So, if a freshman starts in a machine tools, that student decides, well, that's really not my strength, then they're stuck to take.
They're not stuck. We will let them out. We have told the parents that really the freshman year is an exploration year. There are very few options once you get past your sophomore year in order to take all 4 classes in a pathway. In the proposed plan for transition readiness I supplied for the board, that really goes back to Plan 2 and 3, where it talks about we're going to be offering 2 dual credit courses in digital literacy and personal finance that are going to be dual credit that they will have the option to take either their junior or senior year. But then also number 3, where it talks about we are going to develop and have developed a plan where a student potentially could take all 4 courses in early childhood their senior year. We prefer students to explore their freshman year, try to make a decision their sophomore year, because once you get after that sophomore year, especially with high-skill trade areas, machine tool, welding, automotive, it's almost impossible to get 4 years worth of instruction and produce a quality student that we would love to put out into our workforce in 2 years or less. But there are some ways with other pathways that we can do that.
So, may not be the right time, but I'd like to hear sometime in the future what our middle schools are doing, like as exploratory, to give a taste of what these are, instead of waiting until they get to high school.
We do a lot of things now to expose them to see the different things. As far as hands-on experience, there's a lot of safety stuff that goes, but we try to provide them with several opportunities during the school year.
And I think everybody, when this started to come out, everybody realized it was going to have to get backed up, way backed up, down the farther in the grades, or you were not going to be able to get this accomplished. That's one of the things that KSBA kept saying, that if you don't start a whole lot sooner, you're not going to get here. And that's hard for kids that age to make a decision about what they're wanting to do. You and I both know college kids that get to their sophomore year in college and completely change. So
I've got seniors that don't know what they're going to do right now. They don't. You're
that's a hard thing.
4.5 weeks out.
We're asking them to. We're not, the state's asking them to make changes for that.
Correct.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Kurt?
It does.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions?
I think you've done a remarkable job with what has already been given you and what came down through the legislative session that just ended, what, a week or so ago, and all the changes that came about. Y'all have jumped on it and made a lot of progress. So
thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, and I'll pat on the back for you and your team.
It's my team. It has nothing to do with me. All the credit goes to my team.
Well, you
so
pass
thank
it along then. I'll be sure and tell your wife that too. Okay, moving on to Central Academy High School requirements.
Yes, ma'am. Myself and Casey are going to work through that with you. We've been working separately and together on this. She takes care of a lot of the technology principal, Ms. Lacer, as well as Joe Swanson. And we kind of team up together with our secondary principals, including Mr. Black and the high school as well, expressing some of these concerns and some of these things that you just heard about on graduation requirements. So graduation requirements at Central is going to ask us to adjust as well based on the requirements that they're going to need. So you can see in the kind of abbreviated version there, I just shared with you the graduation ready requirements beginning 21-22. And the reason why it's 21-22 is because that's when that freshman class will be ready to graduate. So in order to have them ready by that particular time, this allows for the in-between time frame between now and the 21-22 school year, allows for those students in performance space to be able to finish their program as it is written, and then allows us to work towards something that's going to be a little bit more appropriate for our students that will be coming into Central. So you'll see currently we do require 24 credits and no pathway to graduate from Central. And the proposed is for the 21-22 school year based on the credit adjustments that KDE has suggested. We will ask for 22 credits, with 4 of those credits being in a career pathway, and some of those upper level math and science that cause issues for a lot of our students in that class, or excuse me, in that program, will be eliminated so that they can take some career pathway classes, which should help, we believe will help. Current programs that we have at Central are Dayside, Performance-Based, Job Corps, and e-learning. And I think a couple months ago, I think we shared about our Job Corps program and shared how that was getting off the ground finally. And we do have some students that are taking advantage of that even today as we speak. No, not as we speak. They've already gone home for the day. But e-learning is also a program. Our proposed programs for the 21-22 school year would be a Dayside program, Job Corps, e-learning, and homeschool, which we can talk about in just a little bit. Reasons for these, the mandate that we have from KDE does ask us to add a pathway and also the course credits required. We feel like HCHS is the least restrictive environment and has the most options for our students career pathway wise. And when students aren't able to attend, the alternative school students aren't able to attend the technology center at the high school based on whatever situation they have, that eliminates a possibility for them. So obviously the least restrictive is there at the high school, and we want most students to complete right there where they have the most help and benefit. In the future, you can see the high school would be our first choice. Job Corps would be another, homeschool, Central Academy Dayside for 20 and 45-day placements or longer depending upon the situation. And Central Academy School e-learning would be the options in the 21-22 school year. The last page shares with you kind of the breakdown of what would occur at each place. Graduation would still be held each year for those students that graduated. One of the things that we have to consider is, okay, if we're moving from 24 credits to 22, will people all of a sudden go, hey, that's where I want to head? So we've kind of thought through that, and with the knowledge that Central has to be able to share with their kids, the high school has been working with their Miss Thompson, Miss Amber Thomas has been working with Casey to create the understanding of when you leave the high school, these are the choices you make, and this is the pathway that you will go as you kind of progress. So we've worked with the high school, we've worked with Central, and are just trying to meet the needs of KDE's requirements, as well as each of our students that have somewhat of a different path needed to be able to graduate. There's still work to be done, but we wanted to get this in front of you so that you knew maybe not the struggle, I should say, but the work that we're doing to make sure that we have a path that works for students where the high school doesn't seem to fit. And so that's what we're trying to create for you. I'd ask tonight that you would approve. The one thing we sure have to approve is going from 24 credits to 22, because that is an adjustment. But it is 22 credits with 4 in a pathway, and that pathway we are still developing, because there are some rules that apply that have been told but not explained fully, and so we are working with that. And what that means is what kinds of classes can we use for a pathway? Can it be an e-learning type style, or does it need to be an active, engaged teacher back and forth? And so that's kind of the work that we still have to do, but we have time to get there before it's required. Well, we have talked pathways with the high school, with Tech, with Ms. Stanley on what we feel are options, but the style of teaching that Kate, yes, sir, the style of teaching they won't specifically answer if I'm answering that correctly.
Yes, for example, e-learning students or Central students would need some type of technology-based manner of which earning these 4 credits, which currently we cannot do. And so we're still...
Not because Henderson County can't do it, because state doesn't allow it. Right.
That these students are going to need to have an online option, and at this point it's not approved by the state. So that's something we're going to have to continue to look at and talk with people, and hopefully by the time we get to this 21-22, we will have more options for our students.
If not, we will have a solution that we will present to you to say, hey, I wanted to make sure you do that. We're going with the idea that, like other schools, a lot are other districts are doing the same things we are in their alternative programs. Well, they're asking some of the same questions we are, is what will count and what will you count for this? And so we're all in this kind of working together, pushing for the fact that, hey, there's a way to do this. You just have to trust us and let us do our work. But we say it nicely.
But I will
Like currently, students at Central Academy use the Odyssey-ware program. That's an online curriculum, which is a good one. But the state will not approve any CTE courses taken through that program. Correct. Yeah.
So we're moving more towards what you see colleges do in this particular program is, hey, if a college can offer online blackboard / e-learning style, then why can't we? So that's what we're pushing for. That's what we're working for. But we're continuing to ensure that those students that need a different way have a different way. However, the best spot for them to be, and we keep emphasizing that, and I'm I'm gonna still say that, even though I know there are situations, but the best spot for them to be to get the most out of their education is going to be the high school and the CTE program and the high school that we have set up for them, for kids, the way you guys have set it up, with the amount of options they have. When they remove themselves from the high school, this is the pathway, these are the methods that we can get them there. That's what this basically is. Correct.
No. The one thing I would like to share with the board, though, is we don't need approval tonight for 22 versus 24 credits. We'll bring that back also in a policy format.
Sure.
So I think but we do feel like we're going to have to fluctuate somewhat from where we've been.
I have a question. Is the requirements for an alternative school, graduation requirements for alternative school, different than what Chad was talking about for our high school?
Two answers to that. The state requirements to graduate are the same,
Okay.
whether you're at Central or at high school.
Okay.
So that's one answer. The answer for are the requirements any different for CTE pathway type? Is that
Right.
the next? That's the way I thought I would answer that. They're going to be a different style here, but there's still requirements that we have to meet, whether they're at Central or whether they're at the high school. So the credit number to graduate is going to be the same, whether it's at Central
Right.
or at the high school. And the style or the pathway is a requirement as well.
Because we've had kids graduate from Central that didn't go through a CTE pathway. They went straight on to community college. I remember one
Correct.
year there was like
Several.
2/3 of them went on to that. So they wouldn't even need a CTE pathway before. But the new reg says that they have to have, even if they don't, that's not where they're headed,
Before, we wouldn't get a
like
point
Mike says.
in the
Ridiculous.
accountability system. Now the kids will not graduate.
Let me also say, and not to, you're right, both of you, all of you are right. Here's the other thing. Performance-based currently is an all-day thing. We're still going to be offering help, but it's going to be an afternoon or an evening type help time frame for these particular 4 programs that we have at the bottom. So Job Corps is moving. We've got several students in it. We think that part will grow. And the positive thing about the interaction that we have and the memorandum of agreement that we have with them is their CTE program is on site, and they can work with students and be dual enrolled in our place and their place, or they can singularly enroll them. And to be honest, it's whatever works best for them. Whether they're dual enrolled with us, that's great. If they're individual with them and that's what they need, I'm fine with that. Just like I would be if I was a parent of one and I said, hey, I don't care whether it's Henderson or Union or Webster or Job Corps, you get what you need and move forward. And so the Job Corps pathway is a positive one for us that we feel is going to grow. Our behavior side and day side it is what it is. People make mistakes and they're still able to kind of tie it up and move on. Same way with our e-learning. Many of you understand that, and the pathway that goes through that would probably increase in number. And we have another option that we're working through, Homeschool Academy, which is one that we're working towards to be able to offer as a possibility for people to kind of be dual enrolled with us and also take credits from our Odyssey Word type program. So there's several options out there, and we're trying to create as many as we can that help kids.
Because we already have a memorandum agreement with other counties' schools, is there a possibility that we could offer welding and somebody else can offer auto mechanics, with all the different ones that would increase your number of units or not?
The only,
We offer them all.
the only
Okay.
issue there is, yeah, the only
Okay.
issue there is that if you're talking about alternative school, we wouldn't be allowed to attend based on the situation. But I can see a lot of people wanting to come to our school, but that's,
And the proposal that, I don't think it's in your board attachment this time, but when Mr. Thompson came and spoke to us a couple months ago, he had it outlined, and then on the second page, he spoke about the requests that the high school would need to be able to move forward. And if y'all remember in that request, he was asking for 2 to 3 more CTE teachers to accommodate the number of students that we now need to make sure. And Central Academy was also asking, in a year from now, we'll need to look at what type of CTE career pathway instructor we would need to employ at Central. So we're gonna have to look at how to accommodate for some additional instructors moving forward. But we're trying to do that in a very efficient manner. As you can tell, these folks sit around frequently putting their heads together, trying to come up with programs for kids.
not to leave any out, and that's what that last page is about, to make sure each group is on the same page, and what's most important is the transition between the high school and Central, knowing that they're using the same language and saying the same thing, and so that a kid doesn't get caught between thinking, well, they told me this and you're giving me this. That has to be the same. So to extend that out for a few years to ensure that we have all those graduate that are in certain programs, and then we'll start this next wave. And it's always interesting when you change, but it can be good and it will be good, and we're gonna make the best we can for kids.
Thank you. We appreciate your work on all of that. Moving on to, there is no old business. New business, world language and culture. China, Ms. Morgana and Mr. Bryan. Mr. Bailey's going to take this one on by himself.
All by myself. Yeah. Thanks a lot, and I know it's late, but I do appreciate the opportunity to share this wonderful experience with you. Next slide, Robin. A little bit of background. Next slide. My family, had a great opportunity not too long ago to host an exchange person from China. It's been a tradition in our church where we bring typically a high school level or college level student over for an extended period of time, 3.5 to 4 weeks, to experience culture in America. Well, we had an opportunity to actually bring an adult over, and who you see in this picture here is Miss Sunny Wong, and she is from Hangzhou, China, and she spent 3.5 weeks with my family and my church family, and we experienced all kinds of different things. She actually spent some time in our schools, teaching about Chinese culture, learning about American culture, and her specific reason for wanting to come to Henderson County Schools is to see our technology implementation in our classrooms. The reason she wanted to see that is because she works for a company in China called iShow Education. They're a group of private schools that teach English, and that program and that private educational system is funded through a philanthropist, a group of philanthropists actually, who founded a technology company who develop educational applications for students to learn foreign language. So throughout her time here in Henderson County Schools and with my family and our friends, she communicated her experiences back to her colleagues in China, one of whom, one of the philanthropists, bought a plane ticket and came to America and showed up with his American visa and wanted to see what Sonny was seeing. So we spent a good weekend together and experienced some really great things. Next slide. One being Chinese hot pot at home. So in the picture here, you'll see my in-laws, my wife, my daughter, Sonny, there in the background, and that's Mr. Andy Tan, who's the philanthropist behind iShow Education. The reason I'm bringing this to you tonight is because through many conversations about our cultures, our experiences. There have been some developments and unique opportunities that have come about. While Mr. Tan was here, he met with Mrs. Stanley and myself, and we just spoke about the differences between our educational systems, the differences between our cultures, and he extended an invitation for us to come to China. And he wants to work on developing a relationship, a global cultural relationship between partnerships between our schools and some of their schools and some of their teachers. That led Mrs. Stanley and I to have some more in-depth private conversations about, wow, this is exciting, but also a little scary. But we talked through that, and through her mutual connections and colleagues and peers across the state, actually learned about a program through the University of Kentucky and the Confucius Institute. You can go to the next slide. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why I'm bringing this information to you. Obviously, you're well familiar with our Building a Better Graduate initiative. It is directly tied to the mission and vision of Henderson County Schools. We want to begin to talk about laying the foundation for providing a global cross-cultural experience for the students and staff of Henderson County Schools. As you heard from Mr. Thompson tonight, the World Language Program is a primary component to the new graduation requirements. And we feel like in the Henderson County Schools that the extraordinary learning experiences for our students will allow them to excel as a national innovative leader in education. And obviously, through technology and through just a global competitive workforce, our students have to be able to graduate to compete in a global economy. So you can go to the next slide. So some work that's taken place over the last few weeks, Miss Rhonda Calloway and Miss Georgianne McCord, who we spoke, or Miss Stanley, I don't want to actually speak for you, but we made contact with them because of an experience that we heard about where they had visited China back in 2015. And Miss Georgianne McCord was actually Rhonda Calloway was gracious enough to share her journal notes with us. And as we read through those journal notes, she mentioned Dr. Amanda Ellis. Well, Dr. Amanda Ellis is now the Deputy Director of the Department of Education. So we reached out to Dr. Ellis, had a conversation about what's it look like? Is this worth an endeavor? How was your experience? Things of that nature. And Dr. Ellis was actually very kind enough and gracious enough to dedicate about 30 to 45 minutes to talk to us about her experiences there. Actually, she attended with a group of a delegation of 8 to 10 people and went through a program through the Confucius Institute through the University of Kentucky. Now, the University of Kentucky has an international cultural program that basically provides an opportunity for K-12 school systems to connect to Chinese schools, partner schools, and they take care of pretty much everything for us. It's a 2-week opportunity, and that program director is Dr. Washing Maskey. So our next call to her was to her to talk about, the opportunity. We didn't want to just accept an invitation to go see China with lots of unknowns and risks. So we talked to Dr. Maskey about the program, and she was very excited. She actually extended an invitation to form a Henderson delegation of 8 to 10 folks. Very quickly, they already had a June 11th through the 23rd trip planned, but basically the Confucius Institute through the University of Kentucky takes care of all of our arrangements as far as lodging, food, in-country travel, our itinerary to go visit schools in China, to speak with leaders, their educational leaders in China, and to just develop a better understanding of how we can work better together to partner, to expand our horizons, and provide our students with better opportunities. So I'm here tonight to tell you about that opportunity. and to just share our experience with you and give you a little more information about some work that's been taking place to lay the groundwork for this. Go on to the next slide there. We are definitely working on building better partnerships globally, and these are the organizations that can do this. If this is in your board packet, these images are actually hyperlinked to different websites. So in your additional time, if you'd like to read more about those programs, feel free to do so. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have tonight. I'm not sure if Mrs. Stanley wants to add anything else to what I've mentioned. There is another slide. So these are the resources that we've developed partnerships with already. Dr. Amanda Ellis, she's the Deputy Commissioner of Education, with Dr. Washing Maskey, Executive Director of the Confucius Institute through the University of Kentucky. Andy Tan, who's a Chinese citizen, philanthropist, and founder and CEO of iShow Education. Sunny Wang, who visited our home, Chinese citizen and Chief Academic Officer for iShow EDU. That's one thing that I failed to mention. When Sunny Wang came to visit, she was initially the principal of a 1,000 student private English school in Hangzhou, China. When she got back to China, based on her experiences here, the CEO, Mr. Andy Tan, promoted her to the Chief Academic Officer in charge of all 40 of their private schools. So very exciting. This moved really fast, but Rhonda Calloway, Superintendent of Webster County Schools, and Georgia McCord, Superintendent, retired from Webster County Schools, obviously have been great resources for us. Will continue to be resources for us. Dr. Washing Maskey with UK, Dr. Amanda Ellis has extended additional time to speak with us about moving forward, and just wanted to bring this to you and for your consideration.
Just a few extra comments. We've evolved quite a bit since I've had some individual conversations with some of the board members, because Andy Tan, we were very interested after he I don't want to say showed up, but within a day or two appeared. I mean, came along, and I was calling Beth Bird to make sure, can we talk to him? Can we? But since then, we've Mr. Bellion also realized that we need a strong support if we're willing and able to travel to China and to start that partnership. We felt much more secure after talking to the Confucius Institute and having a delegation to travel together and a person who puts your itinerary together, and that it is with their government, because China is a communist country, that their government works with Dr. Maskey to do that. Andy Tan is a citizen, although she has agreed to adjust the itinerary so that we can go and visit his business and be able to see the behind the scenes in his technology world. She's been very gracious to do that. And then, of course, with the Confucius Institute, they help with that total cost, and they expanded it up to 8 to 10 folks. We still think it's very important that we take some teachers with us, and so it would be a combination of some district office folks, a couple principals, and then a couple of teachers, in hopes that when we come back, our partnership will allow us, through the Confucius Institute, it costs us $8,000 to put a Chinese teacher into our school system. So if we do well in China and kind of pass that level, then we're able to engage with them for a portion of what it would cost us to expand our world language opportunities at the high school. Here we would pay $50,000 to $55,000 for a full-time teacher, and we would be able to do it for 8. So we just felt like we should give you an update, and then ask you kind of an open discussion what your feel is as a board in us pursuing a trip with a delegation from Henderson, including teachers, principals, and some district, kind of divvied 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, something like that. or any advice on that topic would be appreciated.
Board members, who wants to speak to that? Mike?
Oh, I think I need the blessing. I think I need, I'm not sure that we need approval, but a blessing.
I think there's actually a proposal slide there.
So I'm supportive of it. I had written down the German and Spanish. Is that right, German and Spanish?
Yes.
That's what we offer. And I had written down, why not Chinese?
Why not?
Yeah.
Sure.
And Union County had broached that idea too a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if they're still doing that. But because of their ties to the agriculture is the reason they started offering Chinese as a separate.
I would like the consideration of, since we saw the grants that were, some of them are local, a local philanthropist, and maybe as part of the delegation, or somebody from the board, somebody that's not an employee of the district, to go and represent the community.
Encountering right now, because the turnaround time is quick, Monday the 22nd, which is next Monday, is a meeting at the University of Kentucky where Dr. Matsky helps all of us receive a visa. So she takes care of all that paperwork, but you have to have a passport in hand, a valid passport in hand. And so as we have been asking a few people, if your passport's expired, you can't get it that quick, or if you don't have one, right? And then the commitment of 14 days if you have small children, or there's a lot of interest, but when it comes down to it's a kind of I don't want to say a struggle, but it's just so quick of a turnaround. It's some consideration. So we would need to think very quickly of a local person or philanthropist to like ask tomorrow, because that meeting's Monday. But I do think we have an elementary principal and an elementary teacher that is prepared, and a high school principal, and along with that we might get a Central Academy person that comes along as a family member, and a teacher we're working on from the high school. So
Yeah. I said something about, never mind. You got my blessing. I'm with Mike. Haven't you bought the ticket yet? So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for our district and to go forward. This is what we push our students to do, so why not? Just keep us up to date, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, the next thing is to schedule the superintendent capstone project.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I would like the consideration for it to be on May 20th at 5 p.m., which is 1 hour before our regularly scheduled board meeting. We will include supper that evening, and I can do my capstone in about 35 minutes like we did last year, and then ask for any questions, take a quick recess, and start our regular board meeting at 6 o'clock, if that works for you all. 5 p.m., May 20th.
Any problems with those times?
Does that need to be like a work session of the board or a special meeting?
Yes. We're supposed to post it as a special meeting, special called meeting. So 5 p.m., May the 20th. Okay. 5 p.m.
He can try the hot pot.
Okay, so moving on to, so we've got that scheduled, correct? Moving on to the consent agenda. Approve 2019-2020 contracts for non-resident students. Approve school activity fundraiser. Approve student overnight trip request. Approve grant applications. Approve technology surplus items. Approve a shortened school day request. Approve independent auditor's contract. Approve bid recommendations. And approve transportation request. Are there any of those items that need to be pulled or discussed? Hearing none, I look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed. Thank you, Mr. Mike. Thank you, Kirk. Thank you. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to financial. Treasurer's report. Thank you, Ms. Cindy, for sitting over there so patiently. Been sitting there all night.
Okay. Treasurer's report for the month of March includes total receipts of $5,829,976. Total expenses of $6,027,394 for a net decrease in all funds of $197,418. Any questions on that?
Madam Chair and members of the board, I respectfully request your approval of the Treasurer's report as presented tonight by Cindy Cloutier.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the pay warrant report.
Covers the period of March 19th through April the 15th and includes total paid warrants of $2,150,063.72. Any questions on paid warrants?
Any questions, anybody?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I respectfully request your approval of the paid warrant report as presented tonight by Cindy Cloutier.
Any questions? I'll make a motion we approve the paid warrant report. Who's going to second? Second, Tracy? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Pay the bills, ma'am. Let it be known that we have reviewed personnel actions. And moving on to Mike's favorite subject, number 10. She heard Mike first, and so Tracy seconded him. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Mike. Thank you all. We appreciate your time.